The Chicago Bears made a big statement in the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft when they drafted Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren. There are many debates on which one's the better tight end, and a lot of people did not have Colston Loveland ahead of Tyler Warren, but Colston Loveland is a very talented tight end that fits the Chicago Bears. We're going to take a look at his prospect profile, see what Ben Johnson has to say about this, see what Greg Cosell has to say about this, and also look at some fancy charts to see why Colston Loveland is a good fit for the Chicago Bears and why he's a good prospect. Before we dig in, though, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're looking at these prospects every day. We're looking at how they can develop with their new teams. We're looking at them for fantasy football, for your NFL team, and everything else. Click that button. Stop missing out. Rookie camp's coming, and I'll have the clips of all your players. But Ben Johnson has stuff to say about Colston Loveland, and he's got some good things to say that's going to get you very excited.
Really, with Colston, it starts with the person more so than the player. Listen, and I love the tape. I love everything about the tape. But when you get to know him as a man, it's really intriguing. It's who we want to be going forward, in my opinion. He stands for high football character, IQ, intelligence, but he's a great teammate. When we went to the University of Michigan, everybody was raving about him to see how he conducted himself, not only amongst his teammates, but walking through the building and interacting with equipment staff and video staff. You could tell that he was so well respected. His story is a little bit unique, coming from small town Idaho and yet going to the big stage like he did. He didn't bat an eye. And so, I do see a lot of comparisons to Laporta, but that's not just on the field. That was off the field as well, because with Laporta, the stage was never too big or too bright. I felt that same thing with Colston the first time I met him. He doesn't bat an eye. He performs at a high level, and as we talk about where we're going as an organization, and we're going to be playing in these big games with the bright lights, we need guys that are going to rise up to the occasion, and he's going to do that for us.
Colston Loveland being compared to Sam Laporta, making the big plays happen, good receiving threat downfield, and is a good character guy and what the Bears want to build around. And that is what Ben Johnson's saying, and that's what he's seeing as a good fit for his offense, which from the Detroit Lions, you can definitely tell he can put together an offense and make it rather effective at the NFL level. When we're looking at Greg Cosell, a decorated NFL evaluator, he has some good things to say, too, about Colston Loveland, and especially how he differs from Tyler Warren.
Again, I think it's player fit and scheme fit. We can sit here and debate Tyler Warren, and he's obviously very gifted, but in many ways, Cole Kmet is Kyler Warren. Now, he may not be as good as Tyler Warren in terms of physical and athletic traits, but he fits that role. He was looking for a receiving tight end, a seam stretcher. He was looking for that kind of player. And say what you want, but Loveland is a more explosive, dynamic mover than Warren when it comes to being able to work at the intermediate and vertical levels. Loveland falls, he's not as good, but he falls into the Brock Bowers category more so than Warren does. So clearly they were looking for that as opposed to Warren, who to me ultimately, and I love Warren by the way, ultimately falls more, if he reaches his true potential, falls more into like the George Kittle kind of player, which is phenomenal, but that's different than the Brock Bowers kind of player, which I think Loveland falls more into that kind of category.
Colston Loveland's a great receiving threat, great stretching the seam, great getting downfield, good hands, very dependable. He's also a very good route runner. He's the type of tight end that you put in the right system with a quarterback that peppers him, and you could definitely see him taking off. Coming out of high school back in 2022, we were a 4-star recruit, ranked as the 10th best tight end in class. We had 15 offers, some from some pretty prestigious schools, but we landed with Michigan. We get to Michigan, we go off in our sophomore season with 649 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's a lot in the Michigan system. And then the next year in 2024, without McCarthy, still 582 yards, 5 touchdowns, very productive in the offense, owning a large market share of the receiving yards at 36%. outdoing Warren in that regard when it comes to ownership numbers. 5.2 yards after the catch per reception in back-to-back seasons, a 7.1 ADOT versus 9.6 and 10.3 on his career. We're getting targets downfield, but the volume's not super high in this offense, but we led the team in targets at 82. Our second best target getter, 37. With Tyler Morris and Morgan here, he was the offense. He was the passing offense. He had a high dominator rating. He owned a large market share of the production. He went off in some games against Oregon, against Ohio State, Fresno State. But this is an offense with not a lot of volume to it. And also we were hurting at the quarterback spot. Ran a 4.72 40-yard dash, 248 pounds, 72nd percentile speed score. Good enough to get the job done. Good athleticism. 99th percentile dominator rating. Because we were dominant in the Michigan's offense. We were dominant taking over the workload. We put the team on our back. We were the passing game of Michigan. That's what Colston Loveland was. That's what it says, and we broke out at 19.4 years old when it comes to our production profile, and just 21 years old, which is a few years younger than Tyler Warren, and on top of that, only 7% of his targets came from screens. Most of his production came downfield, him getting it on the short to intermediate, and some deeper downfield. On top of that, yards per team pass attempt, 3.22, which is studly. Anything in the high twos is good, but if you're above 3, it's studly. But what you're seeing from Colston Loveland is a receiving tight end who can get downfield, you can move around a bit, that fits in the offense. And this move was about fit. He fits with the Chicago Bears. He fits with what Ben Johnson wants to do. And they want to move the ball vertically downfield, and that's what you're getting from Colston Loveland. When you're looking at the talent, he is a first-round talent. He's a guy that can really help a lot of offenses in the National Football League. Colston Loveland has steady hands. He was dominant at Michigan when it comes to a market share standpoint. He owned a lot of the offense when it came to work rates, overall yardage in the passing game. And he's a guy that's going to get better over time. Standout character kid with a lot of upside. Colston Loveland is a tight end that's going to fit with the Chicago Bears, fit with the upgraded offensive line, and then fit with Caleb Williams as he takes a step forward with his development. When you look at him for fantasy football, he's got a lot of upside in this offense. This offense is retooling. They're adding weapons. The tight end spot is something this team needed to build on. We were looking at Tyler Warren potentially being drafted by the Bears all along, but it ended up being Colston Loveland. And this is an offense that's looking to improve. We improved the coaching staff, offensive scheme-wise. The quarterback's in his second year, and he's got a lot of upside to easily be the quarterback one in this year's draft, trumping both quarterbacks. And now you're looking at the offensive line that upgraded that during free agency. We got the running backs there. They didn't make many changes there. They added Luther Burden. But when you look at Colston Loveland, you insert him. He's easily better from a talent standpoint. Once he's developed, he'll definitely be better than Cole Kmet. But now you got the Coles. You got the Coles at the tight end spot. But you got a receiving threat now at tight end. Look for him to develop. Look for him to rack up targets. He's going to be a good asset in Dynasty tight end premium. You're going to look at him. But in rookie drafts, you're playing those running backs. You're playing them hard. You're looking at the values at wide receiver. And then off the board, you're just taking those values. And he's probably going to be there for you. Once those wells are a little bit drier at running back, once those RJ Harveys are off the board, those other wide receivers that you like. But you're looking at Colston Loveland. You're looking into year one. He's going to eventually get himself on the field. And he has potential to hit early. He has that potential, especially with his downfield ability to stretch the seam. And that could allow him to have some boom weeks. And as he grows into this offense, this is a tight end that could be a top tight end in the National Football League. Let me know what you think about him in the comments below. I want to hear about that. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.